broadcasting, so you can start whenever you.
Okay, so we're
Yep,
live?
yep.
Well, that's my cue. Prepare to cover your ears if I'm too loud here. And we're live! Welcome, everybody, to the returning edition of the podcast Legend Killers. So, we do not have the Eduardo Asylum this week for predictions, but we have the podcast Legend Killers. So, we got the return of Jordan, the wrestling fanatic.
Yes, sir. With some Call of Duty Infinite Warfare gameplay going along. Keep in mind, I'm not one of the best players, so you can talk trash if you want. Uh, my wrestling knowledge is still unrivaled, so I'm gonna be more focused on digging down into talking about WWE and anything else that comes up in the in the uh in the the rest.
Yeah. So, um, well, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Um, let's talk about NXT Takeover San Antonio. So the show starts up with a phenomenal match, in my opinion. We got Dillinger versus Eric Young.
With Big Damo,
Who
or what is his new name again?
it's just Damo. They dropped the big.
No, they did rebrand Damo. They
Oh,
gave
they
him,
really?
yeah. I just heard you
Hmm.
did though, because it's Wolf, um, Wolf,
Hmm. Let me
what's her name?
see.
Nikki Cross.
We got Nikki Cross. We had Tom Sawyer, which I thought was the guy's name.
I thought it was.
Wait,
I
they
thought Sawyer got injured. Sawyer Fulton.
oh yeah, yeah. So it's Alexander Wolf. My bad.
Yeah, Alexander Wolf, Nikki Cross, and
Let me see. Oh, Killian Klain, is that his
yeah,
name?
Killian. Mm-hmm.
Killian Dane. Killian. All right.
Okay.
Um. Well, anyway, Sanity was there at ringside. Now, honestly, in my opinion, before I did get to see Bobby Roode um versus Shinsuke Nakamura today because I had to rewatch. I got caught up in conversation anyway. I honestly thought this was like the show stealer in my opinion. But now after seeing the main event, which we'll get into, I think this holds a strong second place in my eyes.
All right.
Yeah.
Um.
Anything you
So
want to say to that?
for yeah, I'm getting in the multitasking mode between Call of Duty and
Ah.
talking wrestling. Well, my opinion on the match was I came onto it sort of late, but so I had
Hmm.
to rewind it. But I really like the fact that they went along with a potential Dillinger heel turn, but turned it around like I'm the perfect 10. I don't need you guys. With how Eric Young offered him the jacket, and yeah, you thought
Yeah.
everybody thought he was gonna turn because of all the not even like how many takeovers has it been since like Dillinger won? I don't think he's ever won at a takeover.
Honestly, I think the last one he won was against Wesley Blake, and even that one I don't think counted because that was
It was like a
that I guess
pre-show.
counted for an NXT taping.
Yeah,
Come to think of it, I don't think he's ever won one
yeah. That's why I
at
said
one
I don't know.
takeover where it's
That's why
yeah.
that's why um Tyler Breeze recently posted a tweet saying that it's okay, Ty. I never won that takeover either, but
No.
but look on the bright side, I'm still rich.
Okay, hey. Come to think
So
of it, I think the only one of the big four Tyler Breeze has actually won is Survivor Series.
yeah, that's
So
something to look forward to. Like, you may be a jobber, but at least you're still
at
reaching
least
the
you're
goal line.
undefeated at
Yeah,
Survivor Series.
yeah, you could say that.
Or wait, was he in the tag team match? The tag team Survivor Series elimination?
Oh, to Breeze,
Yeah.
I believe he was.
Oh, then he's not even undefeated. Never mind, he's 1-1.
Him and Fandango.
Yeah,
Mm-mm,
man.
they are like the exact definition of what jobbers are, and on SmackDown Live no less, which is kind of sad because SmackDown Live is
Yeah.
the see is seen as the
Especially because
landing
of how
opportunity.
yeah, especially because of how good they are, you know?
Hmm.
Like honestly, I think me personally, I think you could market a little more in Breeze than Fandango. So if let's say WWE has their spring cleaning or whatever, like they do annually, um I think if you're gonna release Fandango, the least you could do is set up a rivalry so that way you could end up putting over Tyler Breeze and get him started on his road to recovery. That's what I would do. Um,
Makes sense.
but getting back to the match itself, I think there was a lot of highlights. One of my favorite moments was when Bobby Roode got up on the top rope and Dillinger pulled a Kurt Angle and he pretty much rushed to the top of the rope and did a did a super arm drag and then
Hmm.
not only that, Sanity came in the ring for a little bit. Dillinger looked pretty strong. He gave the tiebreaker to Alexander Wolf and gave I'm just gonna call him Damo because honestly I don't feel like saying that stupid name.
Killian.
No offense. Um, he gave him a super kick. So Dillinger did look pretty strong in this match, but ultimately the finish was up to Bobby Roode, where he pretty much caught him and gave that wheelbarrow neck breaker. Which
Bobby
does he have a
Roode.
name for that finisher now?
What you mean, Eric Young?
Yeah.
Um, from based on what it's been called in TNA, yeah, no, it still doesn't have an official name. It doesn't have his own like name to it. It's still the generic name, which is the wheelbarrow neck breaker. But
Hmm.
most likely in the future, it's gonna when Eric Young's character gets more established, he's gonna end up naming it something. Maybe I can see it being called Control Chaos or something
Controlled
along the line.
chaos.
Yeah, since that's the whole
Yeah.
gimmick of Sanity.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, it's still the wheelbarrow neck breaker for now.
Yeah. I'll just call it sex position neck breaker.
So what I do to your booty
um
neck breaker.
Well, anyway, that was a good match. Really enjoyed every single thing on it. All the psychology made sense. Um, let's see here. What was the next match after that?
The worst match of the night, which was Andrade Cien Almas versus Roderick Strong.
Hmm. Okay, so like Jordan, I didn't really pay too much attention to this match.
Like,
Um,
if you don't mind, I really want to go in depth with this match on why I didn't like it.
Take it away.
Like, the match itself wasn't that bad. It was more disappointment than like actually like boredom. It wasn't like let me rephrase that. It was more disappointment than boredom. Like I was disappointed with the fact that how I know how good these two can
Mm.
be, but with the crowd like not knowing them that much at the moment. Like a lot of them know Roderick Strong from his Ring of Honor days, and he's always been known as a guy that doesn't never had that much charisma, and it's always been like his matches are what define who he is. You know, the king of backbreakers and
Oh,
all
okay.
the stables he's been in and whatnot. But Cien, like he's not that well known to the American fan. I mean, he's well known with the luchador fans because you know he's in CMLL, which is um not even
The
arguably
same
they put
place
him
Sin Cara wrestled at.
yeah, and it's where he is now, and it's the best wrestling promotion in the Mexico right
Mm.
now. It's the most successful because AAA is screwing up again, and they're losing. They just lost a good chunk of their wrestlers. They lost Pentagon Jr. They've been lost Phoenix. They lost Aerostar and
Mm.
a lot of good chunk because they um allegedly weren't paying their the contract. They weren't paying what they were owed in their contracts.
Mm. Sounds like
So
TNA.
yeah, it's like Mexican TNA. That's why them and TNA work so well together. But
uh,
that's a topic for another day. But back to
yeah.
CMLL. CN, for those who don't know, was
Well,
um
Sombra.
yeah, La Sombra, and even more known since this stable's growing really big now, was pretty much the leader alongside Rush with Los Ingobernables, which is
Mm.
now the current biggest stable in Mexico, and now
Aren't
they're
they? Don't they also wrestle for New Japan?
the Japanese branch, which I was getting to, called
Oh.
Los
Oh, okay.
Ingobernables de Japón, which you know since you're Spanish, since you speak Spanish,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
So
is
the
the Jap.
ungovernables.
Mm-hmm. In Japan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what? How that was played out was Naito. Naito was he was somewhat of a main eventer in New Japan, but he was kind of like I wouldn't. I'm trying to compare him to a wrestler. He was like he was. This is a good one. He was like the Dolph Ziggler. Like
Mm.
he could never like maintain the big one. Like he could never keep it. Like he would win it occasionally, but
Right.
he would never be able to hold on to it for long term, and he can never get the crowd fully behind him for
Mm.
a long period of time. So what he did was he went to Mexico for what they call it is excursion, which is
Mm.
basically a way for them to go to another region other than Japan and basically rebuild themselves with a new gimmick.
Mm.
So Naito went to CMLL and joined Los Ingobernables, and
Mm.
after that he came to Japan, and that's when he established Los Ingobernables de Japón,
Okay.
and basically made a Japanese branch of Los Ingobernables. So whenever they have Fantastica Mania, which is the crossover pay per view between CMLL and New Japan, that's when they all the branches come together.
Right.
When Los Ingobernables de Japón and the main Los Ingobernables come together, that's when you've seen La Sombra Rush, and Naito all in the same place. So
Mm.
him coming to NXT, you would expect this bad stable like that. He and you can see the mentality because he does everything that Naito does. He sits on the ground, he trolls his wrestlers, he sticks his tongue out, and all of this. So he could have went to NXT, created his own branch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I've become a quick fan of CN almost
Mhm.
since his heel turn, which I didn't really like tune in all the way for, but when I saw it, I saw like I was like on my phone because I don't know whether the show was kind of boring or it was just me with the short attention span, but I looked up off my phone, I saw him backstage, and I was like, oh, okay, so this guy's pretty good as a heel in a heel role. I think that was his biggest problem since he debuted, is that he started out as a face and he was just kind of treading waters. And I think WWE tried to like make this guy a big deal.
Hmm.
Um, but but they didn't really like go all the way with the guy, especially because I guess I don't want to put this as a factor in, but the guy didn't speak full English.
Well, one thing I was reading on, it wasn't even recent. It was like a month ago, where
uh,
it's not even that, because Del Rio was still with the company.
right.
Basically, Del Rio went up and met him because Del Rio knows all the wrestlers, all the luchadors wrestlers in Mexico, because he's like
Uh,
the guy with Sin Cara. Since WWE is the biggest wrestling promotion in the world, they're
hmm
seen as the guys that like basically set an example on what luchadors are supposed to be in the company. So he goes up to CN and says, "Hey man, how was your time in WWE?" And basically what he said was, and this may not be true or not, but this is basically what I've read, like from based on the article. He said he he feels like he's missing he misses his Mexico. He misses Mexico. Back
hmm
in the promotion CMLL, where he was in the biggest stable in the promotion. It was pretty much running roughshod in the company, and
Right.
that's when So Del Rio basically tries to encourage him to like just stick it out and see if it makes up something, if something comes up. So basically, it seems like ever since then, WWE has been like iffy, like on what he's been like. They let him turn heel, but other than that, he hasn't really been going anywhere. He's been losing most of his matches,
hmm
and I don't know where they're going with this, but for right now, it seems like they don't really know what to do with him right now.
Yeah. I think Del Rio's right in that regard. Just stick it out. I think the rewards will come late. Because
Mhm.
my thing is, you're always gonna have someone who's kind of a late bloomer in the wrestling industry.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm not saying this in terms of experience or whatever that he hasn't bloomed, but I mean like in terms of like finding your niche in that company. He will find his groove. Because I mean he's already sold me as a fan, and from what I've seen, he's getting over slowly but surely. Um, we're still like what, a month into his heel turn?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think,
Mhm.
give it like maybe 1 or 2 months. I'm pretty sure he'll be in a much higher position, maybe challenging for an NXT title. If I think if he doesn't work out as a singles guy, I don't
Yeah.
see anything wrong with getting him into the tag title scene, see where that takes him.
And if that
Um,
doesn't work out, I could see him maybe just saying WWE isn't for him and taking a route instead of going back to CML LL to doing what he was doing before. He could always go to New Japan and join the Japanese branch, which is No Single Benevolence de Japón, and easily get over there.
yeah. So, his options are not limited at the moment. He's just, he's still, young in the company, at least in their eyes. So it's like, mm, it's still
Yeah.
kind of early to like really, really get behind this guy,
Mhm.
especially since his heel
Yeah,
turn has
and
been
his fan
pretty
base.
short. So, I'll just give it some time.
And with the deal with Roderick Strong is everybody always knew. that Roderick Strong didn't have that much charisma, like even in his Ring of Honor days. Like his
Yeah.
that's what everybody knew. Like everybody when they seen Roderick Strong, they were like, we already know what Roddy's about. He never really put on like he's put on fantastic matches. Don't get me wrong, because I've been watching him since 2004. Because this guy's known
Hmm.
as Mr. ROH, the King of Backbreakers. Like his matches have always been
Right.
phenomenal. His problem, I knew like this problem was gonna come into effect is his mic skills and like his charisma, and that's something that WWE like looks upon compared to Ring of Honor.
Mm.
So, which
Yeah.
is yeah, they because WWE, what people don't understand when they see an indie wrestler come over, they're like, oh yeah, he's gonna be doing all the stuff that he's doing in the indies,
Hmm.
but the indie circuit it's made of multiple promotions. It's not just one like WWE. So they'll they can go
Right.
to one promotion and put on a spectacular match, and then the next promotion they can be a completely different character, so they can mess around with stuff. WWE, you gotta pick one solid gimmick to work with and run through it for years and years on end. So
Mm.
him coming to the main roster, known for throughout those multiple promotions not to really have a character, like he's just Roderick Strong. Like he may be called the King of Backbreakers, but it's not like Bray Wyatt, the Eater of Worlds, Kane the
Yeah.
Demon. Yeah, like that type of gimmick. He had a character, but he never had a gimmick. And
Yeah. Yeah.
coming into WWE with a like Cien Almas, he has a gimmick. He's like this D bag fedora wearing Mexican luchador who feels like he doesn't owe anybody anything because he was the man in his last promotion. That's his story.
Mm.
Roderick Strong is just Roderick Strong. He's just a guy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, I got you now. Um, I would comment on Roderick Strong, but the thing is, like, I've rarely tuned into NXT consistently.
And
I
the
want to
thing
say
is,
since,
he hasn't been on NXT that consistently, like promo wise. He's been doing
mm,
like he's been doing matches here and there, doing what everybody knows what Roderick Strong does, which is be Roderick Strong. Go out doing backbreakers, do his in most of his matches. It's just been him doing the whole Cena Superman type match. Where he gets most of. I'm not saying all of his matches because I'm not a typical Cena hater. The typical Cena match. That's the typical Cena match when he gets beat up and he just magically regains his health like midway during the match
yeah,
and just demolishes his opponent. That's what Roger Strong's been doing. He's been getting beat up the entire
yeah.
match.
Which, by the way, the typical Cena match has returned to SmackDown Live, starting with Baron Corbin being his first victim.
Uh,
Yeah,
I don't know what to say about
I,
that.
yeah. I mean, to think this guy went from great matches in 2014, and this is what I hate the most about Cena. It took him till the tail end of his year to start finally putting up some great matches on TV. I'm not asking for 5-star matches every week. I'm just like, something that's watchable every single week. And then I watched Baron Corbin versus Cena, and I was expecting a good match. But this match was just it was just Corbin getting the 90% or 60 or 70, whatever the hell you want to add in on it, and then Cena, hulked up. And the thing about it is, like, you've been building this monster who has been practically unbeatable, and Cena just beat him with one thing. Um, I don't see it as a burial as so many people want to fucking make it out to be, but it just
Hmm.
it's
Yeah,
just like it's
I see what
disappointing.
they were doing with that. They're building up Cena to look like
Yeah,
yeah, the main eventer Cena that we all know to take on Styles.
yeah.
Hmm.
So we'll get to that shortly. So Getting
Right.
back to this match,
Yeah.
um, I think if I go back and watch it, I'll probably end up saying that it's not.
It's not what you
My
thought it would
opinion will
be.
probably be this, that wasn't so much as, like Jordan said, boring, more as disappointing, and at the same time, it was the weaker one of the show. Wouldn't say it's the worst, more as just the weakest, you know, in terms of like popularity and like even in match standpoint. So, next let's get into the tag team match, which I thought was pretty good.
That was my second favorite match of the night.
Yeah, that was a pretty good match. To my surprise, I didn't like the Authors of Pain had some pretty cool moments here and there. Um, I like that neck breaker power bomb. That should be their finisher right there.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah, uh, not too big on the current one. Like I'll seriously take the neck breaker power bomb way over the Russian leg sweep clothesline combination as their finisher. It just looks a lot more painful.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think Tommaso Ciampa wrestled really hard on this one. Gargano had a few good spots here and there. Which I like that they're letting Tommaso Ciampa get more offense in on their matches, because you notice like Tommaso Ciampa's usually, from what I've seen, is like he's usually like the least in the ring.
Yeah, the fall guy, the one that takes all the bumps.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm glad Ciampa's taking some more offense in, and um uh I thought the double spear was pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I was kind of I would have been pretty surprised to see the Authors of Pain actually tap out. So I'm wondering, does now we pretty much know what happened here, unless you didn't see this and you're tuning into this review for whatever reason. If you haven't seen NXT Takeover San Antonio, tune out of this live stream right now and go watch it. We'll wait. Um,
No, we won't.
um, so the Authors of Pain won, and I'm thinking we're gonna get two tag team debuts today. What do you think?
In the Royal Rumble?
Well, not in the Royal Rumble,
No, I
but at
mean,
the
I
pay per
mean
view.
at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm thinking like, maybe we'll have two run-ins, one for SmackDown, one for Raw, maybe, or maybe they'll decide to stick them both to one brand just to kind of help out the divisions. I don't know. Um, what do you think on that?
Uh, I don't see it happening tonight. Maybe Raw after Mania, but it feels like Royal Rumble's too
Hmm.
soon.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, I notice a lot of people love to speculate debuts and stuff. Especially around Mania, they debut. Like, I get Royal Rumble. It's more about debuts and
Royal,
returns. But like,
yeah,
yeah.
that's why I feel like Royal
Like,
Rumble they don't really use it for like NXT call ups. They use it for like shock and all. Like mainly that's why people
yeah,
always look for returns, whatnot.
yeah, yeah. So like when I hear about stuff like um the Bullet Club's gonna debut at Mania, or like, Dillinger's gonna debut at Royal Rumble. Like I barely ever like, expect things like that to happen, because like the thing about pay-per-views is that they're not so much about debuts, more as they're about like fallouts and such like that. Resolution basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think we are going to get a few debuts. We'll get to that. So let's uh move on to the NXT Fatal 4-Way. Um,
Right.
what'd you think?
That was your favorite match, correct?
Um, I give it the bronze medal. I know it comes as a bit of a shock considering the women's division. Like I've said this numerous times, the women's division is my favorite division. Shit. But after seeing Dillinger and Young and Rude and Nakamura, honestly, I have to be fair here and give this the bronze medal here. This is third place in my opinion. Really like the spots here. I love how Peyton Royce was, taking bumps left and right. Like she took like Dolph Ziggler type sells. That's what I loved about Peyton Royce. Um,
I
every
don't know
single
why
person had a chance to
mhm.
shine. Yeah. Um, every person had a chance to shine in here. Nikki Cross, showed her crazy side. I love the body splash onto Royce and Kay outside of the ring. I love the fact that they did the Thunder Valley onto the onto the table next to the announcers table.
And
Um,
throughout the whole match, they kept basically Nikki Cross on Asuka's level, which can lead off to a future storyline down the road.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and I could see like you know, if we're not gonna get Ember Moon versus Asuka for whatever reason, which they'd be really really stupid not to do, but I think you could potentially, hold out for a big event and have Cross versus Asuka, and kind of show them to be on the exact same level. That'd be pretty cool. But I would ultimately see Asuka getting the win on that one. Only because I think Ember Moon needs to be the one, in my opinion, to dethrone Asuka. Um, Nikki Cross is pretty much a complete badass at this point. Um, Same with Asuka, who's basically the Brock Lesnar of NXT, except full-time schedule and a lot more badass, in my opinion. So Asuka picked up the win here on Peyton Royce, which I thought made sense in my opinion. Um, I like how they did the finish with them going for that double team finish, which I'm not a big fan of either. Okay. Like hell, I mean that next to the Russian sweep clothesline deal, I think that's like the worst thing. Like just throwing someone's face to somebody else's knee, just I don't buy it. Um, I think they need a new finisher. Um, yeah, it was a good match. Asuka won, and I think we only go from there. We just need to see what we do.
Hmm. Did you think
Yeah.
that they were smart for giving Royce and Billy Kay the mentality like whichever one of us wins, it doesn't matter. We're both the champion, or they should have had like them implode and like fight for just that one match to become a
Well,
champion.
I think ultimately it's gonna land to Australian Charlotte, aka Billy Kay, staying the heel and Peyton Royce becoming the sympathetic face. Because I think it's inevitable that these two are going to implode. Um, I noticed that they're using that freebird rule a lot with most tag teams now, like Kevin Owens and Jericho are like, they're
Hmm.
both U.S. champion.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so I mean, I hope that doesn't become like the standard. So ultimately, I'll say yes that it was smart for them to do it, but that's only because they're going to eventually build to a breakup. That's what I could see happening. Um,
Well,
I think why not?
Hmm.
personally. I don't have any problem with it.
One
Um,
thing I can say is at least they didn't go full lay cool with it, where they ended up splitting the belt in half.
oh God, that was
Like that's
honestly I was never a fan of Lay Cool, to be honest with you. I don't even think as a I don't even think as a whatever you can whatever I classify myself as a smart an internet fan, whatever the hell. Even now, like where it's cool to cheer the bad guy, I probably would not have been big on Lay Cool. I think their segments have always been corny, but that's another day. Um,
I like Michelle McCool.
yeah, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I like them both as individuals,
Hmm.
but
Oh, I see what you're
but I
saying.
think yeah, as a tag team, they just didn't work for me. Um, I think I think ultimately they are going to lead to a breakup, and yeah, I do like that they have this tag team mentality. It made sense for psychology too. Like I just don't think having them fight right now would be the smart choice to do, because first off, they're just now starting to get heat from the fans. Like they're just now starting to get that recognition
Hmm.
um um as established characters anyway. So I think having them break up now would be a little bit what's the word I'm looking for?
Short-lived.
Short-lived, premature. Premature is the word. So, yeah, yeah, because like nobody really invested in this tag team that much, I don't think. So, um, yeah, yeah, I ultimately see another multi-woman match happening, and I see these two breaking up off of the next one. Now, if you're gonna have these two break up like next week, then I'm just gonna be like, you know what? You might as well have had them two break up at San Antonio then. Um, but yeah, like I said, I'll just hold off on it and give it some time. What do you think?
Yeah, that seems like a smart move to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to write off uh any type of character in the WWE too soon, because you'll never know what it could have shaped out to be, and not just WWE, like wrestling as in general. Because when
Yeah.
I say that, I'm thinking about mainly the New Day as well as Broken Matt Hardy and TNA and the indie circuit.
Yeah.
Because with the New Day when they started off, like nobody thought that they were gonna be uh, a
Yeah.
right tag team because of their cheesy promos and somewhat lackluster matches, but then they gave them full creative control and they made the best out of it and became one of the best tag teams on in the WWE. And no words need to be said about Broken Matt Hardy.
Yeah. It's funny because I think about a lot of people that the brand split has helped. Like the Miz probably would not be anywhere near his status right now had the brand split not had happened, because
Hmm.
he had Maurice. He didn't have Maurice. He didn't have anything. Like ever since that promo on Talking Smack, the Miz has just been on a roll, on a roll. You could practically call him butter.
Yep.
Um, Baron Corbin is developing a slight fan base. Same with Braun Strowman. Um, Now, honestly, what's your position on like having returning stars come out for to put over the newer guys? Because me personally, I don't agree with it. I just don't think it would help that much. But I want to hear your side of that.
Like how else do you see them getting eliminated in the Rumble?
Well, no, not even in the Royal Rumble, but
Oh,
like returning
well,
to help out, quote unquote, help out the brand split. You know
with
what I
the
mean?
it depends
Sorry.
on it depends on who it is, in my opinion. Like if it's somebody like Mickey James and Kurt Angle, which are guys that have almost never stopped wrestling since leaving the WWE, that I'm okay with because they don't have any ring rust and can still
Yeah.
hang with the young guys. If it's somebody like Goldberg who hasn't wrestled in nearly a decade but can run through Brock Lesnar in less than 2 minutes, that I have a problem with.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not I'm not entirely sure what to like think about it because like my thing is this. You have guys who have returned full time. Like you look at RVD into the he came back for like a short term push and then he instantly got like relegated to losing to matches back and forth and just like it didn't
Which is
help
why he left.
anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, like up to a point his career just didn't help anybody. Like, he
yeah.
lost the match to Seth Rollins on Raw in like 4 minutes and that should have been a dream match, but instead, you got just Seth Rollins giving him that 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 buckle bomb and a curb stomp, and that's pretty much was the end result of that match. Like I just, if you're gonna come back, I think you should come back to all I ask is for you to do something of like entertainment. Put on
Well,
some good matches.
the
Put on
thing
some
is,
get.
RVD's case, he wanted to get put in like title matches and stuff to take on the quote unquote main stars of the WWE, but they saw no value. The basically, I don't know who it was, probably Kevin Dunn, but
Mhm.
they saw no value in him, so they kept him at a mid card level and felt
Right,
like,
but it's like
yeah,
right, but like not you could do that to anybody too. That would be terrible. That's one thing. And then the second thing is like, you know, what if they're not even in any storylines? Like I wouldn't mind Shelton Benjamin coming back, but if he's just there to put over stars, then it's like why'd you even sign him? Like
yeah,
you're not putting him in
exactly.
any storylines. You're not giving any form of importance. Like I don't feel any surge of importance to have him only to just job out to guys left and right.
I feel like
Like
a lot of guys now WWE, like Kenny Omega said, WWE signed them just to sign them, like to fill a quota on having them, then so nobody else can have them.
yeah, and ultimately I have an issue with that because like you have all these guys who you can pretty much build a top star in or at least even a mid card star in like Tyler Breeze like ever since I started watching NXT in 2013 or I started watching the early NXT episodes, I saw how over this guy was getting, but you've instantly relegated him to like basically nothing
You
because
don't
of what?
you don't even have to watch his earlier years in NXT. You can just watch when he fought Jushin Thunder Liger when they called him from New Japan. Like the crowd was way behind with him, even though he was facing Liger. Tyler Breeze could have been one of the top mid carders on SmackDown right now if they booked him correctly.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I think you gotta put Tyler Breeze in an angle with Fandango to help get him over, and like let him do his own thing as a singles guy. Um, Same with the Vaudevillains. I have big appreciation for them because like the thing about most characters nowadays, like there's not too many unique ones. Like you have like the Vaudevillains who are like these 1950s guys, um, and they ruined them by turning them heel. Like honestly, like if they had come to the main roster with the face gimmick that they had, I think they would be in a much different position than they do now.
They could still be
And
monster heels and utilized correctly rather than being glorified jobbers.
yeah, I think I think personally, there's a breed where some are better off as baby faces. You know,
Yeah.
Sami Zayn, I would not turn him heel to save my life. Bailey would not turn her heel. But then there are guys who are, better as face as heels, which is like a majority. And I think Vaudevillain falls under the category of better off as faces. I think, you have, you know,
Well, then even when you have the heels that are better off as heels, they still don't utilize them correctly. I mean, when was the last time you seen the Usos in a match?
that's true. I think, for as much as people give better credit to their stars on SmackDown, I think you have I think what's it called? Raw is doing a better job with their tag team division, at least in terms of storylines and importance, because you got the clubs feuding with Sheamus and Cesaro, and you got the New Day feuding with I forget who they're feuding with, but
Who?
it's like, huh?
You said who's feuding with who?
I think the New Day had like
Oh, they
is
just have
working a
a
program with like
they have a segment going on with Titus O'Neil wanting to join the New Day. Other than that, they're not really
yeah.
feuding with anybody.
But didn't they work an angle with Enzo and Cass like the other day or?
Oh yeah, yeah. But that
Hmm.
that is just that was a short term thing they had going on because they were doing
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, okay.
a match together. That's
Um.
when Shawn Michaels came and super kicked Rusev.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I saw the gif of that. Um. Well, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is like they're doing a better job in terms of like screen time.
Oh yeah,
Um. Yeah, I mean, I think, you got to give these guys one-on-one attention. Like Tyler Breeze, you gotta give him what he was doing in NXT, just to kind of research the guy. Like, I would always laugh when you had Eden Styles, who I think was the announcer at the time. She would like always announce, like, it wouldn't even be a segment pertaining to Tyler Breeze. She would always announce Tyler Breeze has entered the building or Tyler Breeze has left the building. Like I always thought those little things were funny. It's the little things that help. So I think if you give Tyler Breeze that type of like attention, and you give can you hear me?
yep. I'm listening.
Oh, okay, sorry. It's just because like my screen said cannot operate with voice now. Okay, so yeah, I think like hell, even the Ascension, like from what I hear, you really like the Ascension.
Still do.
Um, they'll do. See that? That's loyalty. I think if you give the Ascension some type of attention, like first off, take off the stupid face paint. I don't even understand that. Um, I think instead of having them talk like this and blah 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 blah, which I don't know if that was
Cookie
their promos
Monster.
back in the day. Yeah, they sound like the Cookie Monster. Um, like honestly, I think maybe give them a mouthpiece, give them a Paul Heyman, which I get it won't be the answer to getting the Ascension over. Just look at Curtis Axel. Um, but I think you know the fact that you're putting some effort into the guy, that's what counts to me. Um, I think you gotta give some give some pointers just to kind of help the guys out, get some attention to them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
So yeah, that Fatal Four Way was really good.
Yeah,
It's
about
funny how we
that
branched.
about that fatal four way.
Yeah, it's funny how
Yeah,
we branched off all the way to that.
that was all
um,
you right there. I just went along for the ride.
What were we talking about before this? We went like I'm trying to backtrack this. So we went from Tyler Breeze,
It was because
Ascension.
of the whole Peyton Royce Billy Kay thing with them right now, like how they can basically branch off into any
Oh
type of sport.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you don't really want to write off anything too quickly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Well, yeah, I ultimately see Australian Charlotte turning on Peyton Royce, and yeah.
Mhm. Now,
So
uh,
let's get to
the main event.
Bobby Roode versus Nakamura.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your main event of the evening. I just had to give a
I
little
think
Bruce Buffer thing going on.
yeah, yeah, I think the entrances were pretty cool. The match itself was pretty cool. Um, really good storytelling in this match.
That's what Bobby Roode is good for.
Yeah, that's what he's best for. Um, I think, um, I think all of it made sense. This was definitely a match of the night. Um, one thing I like about WWE that they're doing lately is that they're keeping the wrestlers away from kicking out of like one finisher or like kicking out of like 60 finishers, you know.
Like your typical Ring of Honor pay-per-view match.
Yeah, yeah, I think they're finally trying to do their own things with their guys. Um, I think it adds value to the finishers again. And unlike Paul Heyman, who's saying we're just internet fans bitching. Which, by the way, did you ever see that WWE special, the Bring It to the Table?
I did not.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
dude! Like,
elaborate.
so we got Peter Rosenberg
Okay.
have like a sit down chat with JBL and Paul Heyman,
It's John O'Connor.
and yeah, and we were talk and they were going over all these discussions like um Goldberg versus Lesnar. They talked about Conor McGregor. They talked about Ronda Rousey, I think. They talked about Hulk Hogan being back in WWE. They took a shot at Bret Hart. Um, so like I came out of it like if you saw the podcast, I think you would just get like really irritated by how Paul Heyman just kept answering these questions. Like he wasn't even answering the questions. He was just saying fans are bitching on the internet. That's all they'll do. Like
Hmm.
he didn't even like give any straightforward answers. JBL was actually coming off more honest than
Yeah.
Paul Heyman
Yeah,
here.
I don't like as much respect I have for a lot of these guys. How they have the mentality like if you're not in the sport, you can't like have an opinion on it at all.
Yeah. And like just the hell of the attitude that Paul Heyman had. He was like, Um, well, if you don't like watching the product, then boycott it.
Yeah,
That's literally what he said in this. Like, you really have to watch this. Like,
like
I
unless he
shit you
was
not. He
trolling.
literally said that, and it's like one hell of a way to like, to like take with your fan base. Who's like buying this product? Like, we're like the core fan base buying the network and they're like complaining about us, complaining about them. Like they defended the third hour, which I understand JBL's point of view on the third hour. But like Paul Heyman was just like, if you're not gonna watch it, then STFU. Like that's literally what he said. And like the entire time, I was just getting more and more frustrated with Paul Heyman in this. thing. I think if you do get the chance, like I would definitely recommend watching it just to kind of get your own opinions on it. I would really want to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, take it into
Um,
consideration.
yeah. Okay, thank you. Um, so that was pretty much that right there. Um, Here we go,
So
going off on a tangent again. This is
back to
exactly what
the
I tried to
back
avoid
to
with the
the
joke.
back to the Bobby Roode.
Yeah, so we had Bobby Roode and Nakamura playing some good storytelling. The match was very much back and forth. Bobby Roode and Nakamura were both pretty funny. They were both pretty funny in this match. Like we had the Nakamura going like "Come on!" and Bobby Roode making fun of him like "No!" Yeah, I thought that was funny. Um, I remember there was a point where Nakamura was trying to set up for the Kinshasa,
And he
and
didn't get up.
Bobby Roode was dead on the floor, and Nakamura was just getting more and more impatient. He just stomps on the floor, and the crowd is laughing. Um, so they had some good moments, like a lot of special moments. So if you're a big fan of storytelling, like I am, or if you're like Jordan, you like the fast-paced stuff. I think this match had a quantity of both, but a little more story than it was fast-paced. Um, Ultimately, it was a good match. Nakamura sold a knee injury, and I love how they played that Kinshasa as a double-edged sword in this match, where like Nakamura hit Bobby Roode off outside the side of the ring, and he injured himself in the process. Um, I think that was definitely a smart way to go. Um, then they had um, then they had Rude capitalize with the Rude bomb, or is that what it's called? The Rude bomb, his finisher.
It has no name yet, like Eric Young's finisher.
Okay.
It's just the DDT.
Well, then I'll call it the execution for short. Um, why not?
the
I've
the
named two finishers now.
the Rudicution.
The Rudicution, that's brilliant right there. Rudicution. Um, so we both named two finishers today. We have the sex position neck breaker and the Rudicution. Um, I think ultimately it was a good match. Everything made sense. Don't really have any complaints. Um, yeah, match of the night. Jordan, thoughts?
That was the match of the night. As I already stated, my second favorite match was the tag team match, and other than Andrade Cien Almas versus Rick, I was about to call him Ricochet, Roderick Strong. I thought the pay per view was pretty solid. No complaints from me.
All right. So, yeah, ultimately, I love the pay-per-view. Solid takeover as always. Um, Probably gonna be up there in my top 10.
Alrighty.
So let's get on to Royal Rumble prediction.
Well, since the Rumble's gonna start really soon, do you want to do predictions, or you just want to end the video right here?
All right, well, let's end the video right here if you want.
All right. Yeah. And for you party poopers, we will not be doing live stream of Royal Rumble. We will be watching it as a party alone, and you guys are not invited. Yeah, kiss our backsides.
What a hell of an attitude to take with your fan base, just like Paul Heyman.
What fan base?
Oh, and by the way, if you don't like the product, STFU.
And like this video.
All right. Good night, guys.
All right. Yeah. Peace out.